Russian with Anna Naktochi. The best way to learn noun forms in Russian. The first thing you should pay attention to while learning Russian nouns and their forms. Traditional grammar books tell that you should pay attention to the gender of nouns. But does this word gender tell us a lot? Actually, it doesn't. I offer to pay attention to the final sound of a noun. So, what is important? We take the first form, the first basic form of a noun, and we look at its final sound. So it's very important to know the basic form of a noun. According to the final sound of a noun, all nouns can be divided into two main groups. Nouns which have sound R at the end, final sound R. I call these nouns R nouns. Usually these nouns belong to feminine, but not always. Let's look at the examples. Let's take such easy international nouns like cola, pizza. You can hear R at the end, it's very important. Maybe you know the word voda, water. Voda, we pay attention to the final sound R. Сестра, sister. Mama, Ira, it's a Russian name, Ira. So you can see that all these nouns, they have final sound R. And they belong to R nouns, which are usually feminine in Russian. And the second group are all the other nouns which don't have final sound R. We can call them no R nouns. Let's look at the examples. Sprite, easy international word, sprite. You can see here final consonant T, sprite. A lot of these nouns take final consonant. Soup, consonant P, soup. Tort, tort, final consonant T. Let's take such word as pivo. Here we can see that the final sound is O, pivo. Молоко, O. Вино, O. And let's take the word варенье. It has final sound here. Варенье. Варенье means jam in Russian. Варенье. Let's take more examples. People. Брат. Брат, final T. Брат. Tom. English name. Tom. Let's take a Russian name. Ivan. Final consonant N. Ivan. And one more word for you is kot. Kot. Kot means a cat. So you can see here that all these nouns, they don't have final sound R. The nouns which have at the end a consonant belong to masculine gender. And the nouns which have at the end or ye belong to neuter gender. So you can see the first group are nouns and the second group no are nouns. All the other nouns which don't have R at the end. These two groups of nouns will behave in a different way when we change the endings. And it's very important to understand. And this fact, if you keep it in your mind, it will make the process of changing nouns and using right forms easier for you. Number 2, the other thing which is important for Russian nouns and their forms is to differentiate if a noun is animate. Animate means that it's a person or an animal, so it's a living creature, or if the noun is an inanimate. Inanimate means a thing or a plant. Plants are also inanimate in Russian. And especially this differentiation is important for the second group, for no are nouns. So you can see that's why here we divided the nouns. First you can see things, sprite, soup, and then you can see people, brat, и Tom, Ivan, kot, and animals, kot. So these nouns will also behave in different ways in some very important and very common situations. Not always, but in some really important situations, and I will show you when they will behave in different ways. Number 3, what else you should pay attention to while learning Russian forms, Russian noun forms? Okay, so all nouns take different endings. For example, are nouns, they have a very common form with the ending U. We drop R and we add U sound. So instead of cola, it will be kolu. It will be pиццу. Вода can be воду. Sometimes the stress changes. Воду. Okay, колу, пиццу, воду. Сестру, маму, Иру. Okay, so there is this U form for our nouns, and this form is very common in Russian. So the second question you should ask yourself is when to use this form, in what situation. You should learn this form together with the situation. And I will tell you the example when we use this form. We use this form for our nouns in a sentence. I like something. I like or I love. I like or I love in Russian will be я люблю. Я люблю. If we talk about food, я люблю means I like. If you talk about people, я люблю means I love. How to say I like about people, we will talk about it in some of other following videos. At the moment we will not talk about it. Okay, so you will learn how to say I like some food and I love somebody. This is the situation to use U form for our nouns. So, я люблю колу, я люблю пиццу, я люблю воду, я люблю сестру, я люблю маму, я люблю Иру. Okay, so you learned the form, U form, and you learned the situation when to use this form. When you make a request and you say, give me, let's take formal request, дайте мне, you say it in a restaurant or in a shop, also for requests you use this form, this U form. Дайте мне колу. Дайте мне пиццу, пожалуйста. Дайте мне воду, пожалуйста. So this form is also used for requests and for a lot of other situations. And each situation you should remember, you should memorize the situations which are followed by this form. Now let's look at the second group of the nouns, no are nouns. What happens with these nouns when we talk about what we like? So here you will see how it is important if the noun is in inanimate a thing and an animate noun, a person or an animal. Okay, so when we talk about things and we say I like, the second group is not changed. Я люблю спрайт. Я люблю суп. Я люблю торт. The same will be for give me. Дайте мне спрайт, дайте мне торт, дайте мне суп. Okay, so you can see that for things, are nouns took U form and no are nouns were not changed. So we can call this form U form for are nouns and no change form for no are nouns. We don't change no are nouns. Okay, but if we talk about people or animals, these nouns, they have a very important and a very common form. They take the ending "a". Okay, so brat can be brata. Tom can be Toma. Ivan can be Ivana. Кот can be кота. So we can call this a form. And the another question is when to use this are form. Here you can see that these nouns are masculine. We don't have here neuter nouns. Neuter nouns cannot be animate. Only masculine and feminine can be animate. Yes, so we talk about animate masculine nouns. And they have this common are form. Masculine nouns take this are form. When to use it? We use it for I love. If you want to say that you love somebody, you should use are form for masculine nouns. Я люблю брата. Я люблю Тома. Я люблю Ивана. Я люблю кота. Okay, so you see, there is a form and there is a situation to use this form. And you must memorize this situation together with this form. Я люблю Тома. Я люблю Ивана. Я люблю кота. You can see that in this way of learning nouns and their forms, we avoid using grammar terms. It's not important how we call this form. What is important is the form and the situation when we use it. But for students who already know Russian grammar terms, I can tell that the form which we used for I like or I love is called accusative. Some of my students call this form I like or I love form. This is accusative. Let's take one more form for today, and the other forms we will learn in the following videos, because that will be too much for you. Okay, another very important form is, let's look at the are nouns. So are nouns can take e form. We drop are and we add e. Actually, here we have two sounds, e or ui. The first sound is more front and the second sound is more back, e, ui. But usually English speakers don't differentiate these sounds, and they are really similar. Okay, so e. Cola can be коли, pizza can be пиццы, вода – воды, сестра – сестры, мама – мамы, Ира – Иры. Okay, so you must remember that are nouns can have this form. Колы, воды, сестры, мамы, пиццы. Okay, another question is when to use this form. And the situation when we use this form is very important. We use this form when we talk about absence of something or somebody. When something or somebody is absent. To show absence, we use the word нет in Russian. Нет. Нет means there isn't. Нет. So we can say нет колы. Нет колы. Нет пиццы. Нет воды. Very often in Russian we can switch the position of the words. We can say воды нет, колы нет, пиццы нет. It's a very important situation. Нет, пиццы нет. Нет мамы, нет сестры. For example, at home. Yes, there isn't my sister at home. Нет сестры at home. Дома. Дома at home. Нет сестры дома. Нет мамы дома. But usually we say сестры нет дома. Мамы нет дома. Иры нет. Иры нет. Ира is absent. Okay, so you can see it's a very important situation. But we have another important situation for this form. The other situation is where in English you use preposition of. And it's so important, it's so common. Of. For example, стакан колы. It means a glass of cola. And in Russian, instead of the preposition, we change the ending. We don't use the preposition, we just change the ending. Стакан, glass. Стакан колы. That's how we connect the words, with the help of the endings. A glass of cola. Стакан колы. And you should remember, and you should repeat it many times. You should practice it many times to get used to this form. Стакан колы. Кусочек, a piece. Кусочек пиццы. A piece of pizza. Кусочек пиццы. Стакан воды. But for people, that will be possession. It will be, for example, машина, a car. Машина сестры. In English you would say sister's car, possession, sister's car. But in Russian we don't say sister's car. In Russian we say car of sister. Машина сестры. Машина мамы. Car of mother. Машина мамы. We don't say mother's car. We say car of mother. Машина мамы. Машина Иры. Possession. It's such an important situation. Машина Иры. And let's look at the second group. No are nouns. Masculine or neuter nouns. Okay, so here masculine or neuter nouns will take are form. We have already seen this are form. Yes, for I love, for people. And here again this are form, but this time and for things and for people. Both will take are form. So that can you see, it's such a common form. Are form for masculine and neuter nouns. Spraita. We say it so often, spraita. Another one, supa, torta, молока, пива, вина, and варенья. Е we will change to я. Варенья, брата, Тома, Ивана, кота. And we use this form so often. And again, we use this form for absence. Нет, нет спрайта, нет супа, извините, нет торта. Извините, do you remember, excuse me? Нет торта, нет пива, нет молока, нет варенья, нет брата, but it's better to say брата нет, brother is absent, Тома нет, Ивана нет дома, at home, Ивана нет дома, кота нет, где кот, где кот, кота нет. Okay, so you should memorize. And the second situation, preposition of in English or possession. So it's Sprite, стакан спрайта, a glass of Sprite, стакан спрайта. Тарелка, a plate, тарелка супа, a plate of soup, тарелка супа. Кусочек, a piece, кусочек торта, кусочек торта. Стакан молока. Банка, a jar, банка варенья, a jar of jam, банка варенья. Машина брата, car of brother, машина брата, we don't say brother's car, машина брата. Машина Тома, машина Ивана, но не машина кота. Okay, so this are form is very important. I gave you only the most common situations, but there are other situations when we use these forms, and you must memorize these situations with forms. You memorize a form and situation when you use it. We will talk about other important noun forms in our following videos. Have a good day. До свидания.